Welcome back to the Corporate Burnouts podcast. Hey, Mandy, how are you?
Doing so good. How are you?
Good, good. Excited for another episode.
I'm excited for another episode too. How was your weekend? What'd you do?
It was good. It was good. I actually spent the whole week last week with family, and the weekend obviously was the weekend. I was with my aunt and uncle and my granny and all the cousins, and they pastor at church. So obviously the weekends are quite busy around those parts. So it was good. It was nice to get back in the family swing of things. And so I'm back home in the office with my cup full and ready to ready
That's
to
the
get back to
best.
it, chasing kiddos.
Mhm.
Paisley starts her new job today.
Oh my goodness. You
I
officially have a
know.
worker. I
I have a
know.
working child.
I know. Who you still have to drive to work.
Yeah, I have to take her and I still have to pay her bills. So like what is
Yeah.
that? It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. What
I
about you?
know.
How was your weekend?
It was good. It was good. We did a lot of boating this weekend. I needed that. I needed some sun. It's just rained so much, so
Yeah.
it's nice to have a little sun. We did have to get off the lake on Friday for rain and we had to wait out some, rain on Sunday and whatever. It was Tim's birthday on Sunday, so we went out to the river for that. And it was just a good weekend with the kids and with the friends and with. I needed a full downtime because I don't get burned out because I have all the tools, right,
Yeah.
to not get burned out, but I don't always set my boundaries as strict as I need to. And this
Yeah. The
weekend I was
stress can
like,
get the best
full
of you.
boundaries. Yeah,
Yeah.
full boundaries.
But
We're
you
gonna enjoy
are
this time.
you are strategically leaving out what I thought you were gonna tell me.
The fact that I seriously
That you
hurt
are in
myself. So
immense pain. It's not
so I
funny.
am
I'm not
I'm
laughing.
42 years old. And I decided that I wanted to be as good of a skier as I was whenever I was 20 years old, which might still be possible, but my 42-year-old body hates it. And I'm just trying to get like control back and, be able to do this, because
Yeah.
it's harder with 60 more pounds than I weighed whenever I, used
Yeah.
to ski a little bit. And so I pulled something behind my boob here and I have a big bruise on my knee. And it's like, how does this happen? You're just falling into the water, but
Yeah,
it
the water can
hurts.
be meaner than you give it credit for, though.
Yeah, well, especially if you're going 25 miles an hour. And that's not even
Yeah.
fast behind a boat. Dan goes 40 to barefoot. So, anyway, I am still trying to, every time we go out, just ski once. And then I get too tired and can barely like lift myself up into the boat. But it's all happening. It's just, I'll
Well,
keep you guys posted on my ski journey if I
yeah, I'm just
make it.
impressed that you try that hard. I'd be like, no, put me on a tube, throw me off. That's cool. But then it's like, I want a cold beer and some sunshine
Mhm.
and let the kids play.
Yeah. And it's really fun. I mean, the kids and Dan are just so passionate about skiing and
Mhm.
they just make it look so easy and fun. And then I go out there and I make it look hard.
Yeah, it's a false sense
um,
of security when you
mhm.
watch
Yeah.
them.
Samantha had her best friend on the boat on Friday and she wants to learn how to ski. And I was like, would you like to watch me do it so you don't feel so bad? Because they make it look so easy, right?
Yeah, let me show
And
you what
she's
normal
like,
looks like real fast.
right, like you don't have to feel bad, but I think that it probably made it worse because then she's like, "Ugh, she's been doing this for a few weeks again now, and she's not getting any better. So I think it made it better. Like you feel like you can aspire to what they do.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm not
But
sure.
she's also
She'll
not 42, so
No, she's so athletic and she can do this, but
yeah.
it's a funny thing. So anyway, I am fine. I just went to Dr. Callie, who is the best chiropractor in St. Louis for sure, but she was just pushing on the ribs there, and I'm like, it
You're
hurts
like,
so much worse
stop.
now, but it'll feel better. She obviously knows what she's doing, so
Yeah.
I just gotta get through this. And then she
Well,
said to put ice in my bra, so we'll get there after the podcast.
I take no pleasure in watching your pain, but like the mental image of you getting taken out by a water ski, it's doing it for me. It's doing it for me. So thanks for that.
Yeah.
However, We do have a really fun topic today. I don't know that I have the best segue for this, but if we were to see Mandy being taken out by a water ski on social media, then maybe we could have segued this better. But
Well, would that help me get a job? Not how I'm doing it right now. I would
probably
never
not
put this on
helping
my
you get a job.
resume.
Yeah, no
No.
one's gonna sponsor you on the ski team.
No, no. They're like, but if she's so bad at that, could she be good at her job? And the answer is yes.
Yeah,
But
I'm good at my job. I'm just
it's
not good at all the sports.
no, I'm not. So we do want to talk about social media and what role that plays into you getting a job, keeping a job, because I saw this TikTok a few weeks ago and this guy was talking about we all know that you can't be a shitbag on social media and expect to get a great paying job. But I didn't realize that they could see more than just what you post on your feed, on your stories, on reels, whatever. I didn't realize that they could see your comments. Like, who would I didn't know. So I assume that other people don't know. And this guy is like, I will look through someone's comments, and if they're out there being hateful or divisive or anything that might make them not be a great employee, then they're out. And I just didn't even know that this was something that they could look up.
Yeah, it's really interesting to think that, you know, I think I've been on social media since '07. Facebook, obviously like
Uh-huh.
MySpace and whatever, we're really dating
Sure.
ourselves now. But like, I think my Facebook goes back to '07, and it'll show you on your memory sometimes like what your previous posts were. And like, I go back and I'm like, I hate 2008 Mandy Holt. Who
Uh-huh.
was she and why does
Yeah.
she think that she needed, like, this is not a diary. What are we doing? Now,
Right.
granted, in
It's the
2008, I was
real
having
douchebag
babies and it was,
moments. Yeah.
yeah, it was
Uh-huh.
not like exciting content at all.
Uh-huh.
But when I think about other people that I'm friends with, specifically younger people that I'm friends with, and they've
Uh-huh.
had social media for that long, going back, looking back, there's this cringy in a little bit of a different way.
Yeah, we were
And just the
almost
fact that you can
30,
search that.
right? Yeah, we were in our late 20s
Yeah,
probably
late
when we got on
20s.
Facebook. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
for
but some
sure.
people were 13, and you can go back and look at that,
Right.
ridiculous human that did not understand. And it's bad enough what I used to say, which was not hateful but it was
Yeah.
just douchey. It was just like, why would I say that? That doesn't even make sense. And if you were younger, you probably said even more crazy shit.
Even worse. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So back to your point though about how your comments and stuff are visible. I never really realized that because like if I'm looking for someone on social media and you search in their name, if their profile pops up, you click on their profile and then you scroll through it, right? And that shows
Mm-hmm.
you what's on your newsfeed. But if
Yeah.
you search their name and don't click on their profile, you just enter and like you're searching anything that comes up with their name. All of those little menu options at the top, you can search their name in posts, you can search their name in comments, you can search their name in people, like in
Uh-huh.
groups and all the things. So they can
Uh-huh.
see, obviously, like privacy settings are a thing, but I don't think they're bulletproof. And even group privacy, I don't think is like foolproof
No.
100% because you
Mm-mm.
can see all those things. I can see comments from people that I am not friends with that I can't see from looking at their profile. But when I search
Uh-huh.
their name in comments, I can see the douchey shitbag stuff that they say
Uh-huh.
on
Uh-huh.
other people's posts. And I
Yeah.
think, I don't think I'm that kind of person. I don't think I have that kind of stuff out there. But like, do I need to go search myself? Do I need
Right.
to go
Well,
make sure that I
luckily,
don't need to do
you're
damage control
not,
and delete some things?
yeah, you're not looking for a job. I mean, at some point you could, I guess, and I'm
No,
not
but
going to
I do
fire
care
you for
about my
a thing from the
I
past.
do.
Yes, yes. Well,
So,
because we have to get clients too. So
mhm.
we, if you're working for a corporation, you might not need to get clients, but like I'm very careful with what I post on social media for that reason,
Yeah.
because I don't want to alienate potential clients because I'm too liberal or I'm too conservative or I'm too Christian or I'm too, like I like to keep it pretty even,
Yeah.
because you never know who will search you up and find out what you've said. I have a lot of strong opinions about everything, right? And I
Yeah.
keep that offline, and I always will. I feel like we have stronger opinions on the podcast than I have let myself have on my personal, but It's not anything that I think will alienate potential clients or, um,
Yeah,
anything
no.
like that. But everyone needs to be careful, is what we're saying. Obviously, keep hateful stuff to yourself anyway. I don't, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
anything like that. But the things you need to be careful about are the things that could alienate a certain group of people, because we are in such a division in time right now, and people are taking sides on everything at this point. It's the Christians against the non-Christians, it's the conservative
It's
against
the
the liberals,
racism,
it's
it's
the race.
the
Yep. Hmm.
yeah, it's all the things. And we're in a really, really difficult time just from a society perspective. And I
Hmm.
truly think a lot of these people that are posting a lot of heavy content for or against either side of any one of these battles
Hmm.
are not doing it to be part of the problem, right? Like it is
Well,
all
some of them are,
about
but most of them are not.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, obviously, I'm erring on the side of good, right? I'm erring on the
Hmm.
side of those people who are trying to make their voice heard. They want to be a part of a solution. They want, to rise up and let's make change. And I don't disagree with that, okay? Like, and
Hmm.
I'm not saying that you shouldn't have freedom of speech. We 100% should. What I
Hmm.
am saying, though, is that when you use your voice so loudly for your thoughts and your opinions and all of those things, because other people in today's day and age, it's all over the map what people know and think and truly believe. It is divisive. And while that's not wrong, it's not wrong to state your opinion, especially when you're like standing firm on something that really matters to you. It's not wrong to do that, but it does put you in an interesting seat when it comes to a potential employer looking at your profile.
Hmm.
What sort of people
It
do I
does.
have working in my office that this personality is going to completely clash with? Or, I don't want to make an issue of these things. I don't want that opinion to represent my brand. Therefore, that person doesn't fit here. There's so many things that it could cost you, which is totally fine. If you accept the risk and you want to go for it, go for it.
Hmm.
Do your thing.
Right. And that's
But
that's kind of how I'm
we just want
feeling.
people to know that it's there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that you can say, I am this. I would never want to work for somebody who doesn't believe like me.
Yeah.
Or I am, so let's just take, for instance, our podcast. All right. Our
Uh-huh.
podcast is very firm on that corporations aren't bad, but corporate structure can be, right? And we want to help people who are within that corporate structure be happy within it, or we want to help them
Right.
figure out how to start their own business or go work for a smaller company that doesn't have such a corporate structure. So, in turn, we're okay with that. We feel the way that we feel. It might alienate some people. And at some point, if we are looking for sponsors for this podcast, or we decide to change our business model and decide to start working with corporations instead of small businesses, I don't
Mhm.
know that we'll do that.
Or
But like,
God
let's
forbid,
just
need to
say,
go work for a corporation again.
yes,
Like,
I am okay with that we have put this content out there. I am okay with that we won't have big corporations sponsoring the podcast, right?
yeah,
I would love to have people who have smaller businesses to sponsor the podcast when and if we get there,
yeah,
or when and if we need a new job or other clients. I We talked it through and we decided this is our brand. Okay. So this is on brand for us, and we are okay if the big corporations who might take offense to our content,
yeah.
if they're not part of the pool of people who we work with. So if you're okay with that, you can have your feelings about anything out there. And if I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to right now, I could say, I am this. I only want to work with people like this. And then I
Mm-hmm.
could just have a smaller pool to pull from for Essential Marketing Group. That's not what I want. I want to work with anyone and everyone, regardless of their views or feelings or beliefs or
Yeah,
any of it. And so I'll keep the content middle of the road, right? We
yeah.
don't need to talk about that stuff. Also, though, you and I are not really passionate enough about any side of any of this to risk that, right? We don't even want to talk
I
about
just want
that.
to clarify one thing that you just said.
Uh-huh.
While I 100% agree that you and I don't necessarily feel super passionate about any one aspect of any of the divisive things going on in social media to share. But for me, I want to be strategic about how I say this because it's really not about the risk, right? Like I
Yeah.
don't want to risk our business by being divisive, but
Uh-huh.
that's not what stops me. What stops me because I want to be authentic, right? Like, and to your
Uh-huh.
point, I want to work with people who know me at the core and appreciate me for who I am, and I can
Yeah.
do that in return. But
Uh-huh.
what stops me is I don't want to not work with people based on their beliefs, and I don't want them to do that to me. Will read your content online when I'm interested. I will dive into that because I want to know and understand other people's perspectives, but I want to be able to do that on my time in my own safe space rather than putting my thoughts and opinions out there, setting myself up to be attacked for what I believe. It's a
Uh-huh.
self-preservation move more than
Uh-huh.
more than preservation for the business. It's like what I'm going to put on my social media is always going to be authentic. And with
Uh-huh.
that, what I do in business is always going to be authentic. So to put myself
Uh-huh.
out there with strong views and beliefs sets me up for a fight. And I'm not trying to fight. You go and live your best life and believe what you believe.
Yeah.
And let me do the same. You know,
Well, and you don't care enough. You know what I mean? Like you don't care about either side enough to of
yeah.
anything to say it
I
out
mean,
there and
I
possibly.
think the one aspect that I probably could get a little tied up in does come with spirituality. I
Uh-huh.
do I do 100% care enough to
Uh-huh.
share the love of Jesus Christ. I totally do.
Yeah.
But not in
Uh-huh.
a way that is going to push you away. And
Yes.
I think sometimes the way that you put your thoughts, views, and opinions out there, specifically on social media, where it's really hard to share your heart on social
Uh-huh.
media, again, you just set yourself up. Like, I'm not trying to be shut down in what I believe, but I
Or
also
try and
know that,
convince anybody else to
right,
believe what you
right.
believe. Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
mean, while I would love to convince you that
Uh-huh.
Jesus loves you. Some
Uh-huh.
people are ready to hear it and some people aren't. And I don't know that oversharing on social media is going to get me my desired impact, but will potentially do the opposite. It's about strategically being able to share your thoughts and opinions in a way that's going to be impactful. And the only impact that I'm seeing here is that there's a lot of people who don't agree with me. And I'm not trying to create a space that does the exact opposite of what my goals
Uh-huh.
are.
Yeah. And it's again, it's a personal choice and everybody gets to make it, right? And
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
like that. But we just want to warn people that it is a choice that you're making and
Yes,
things being deleted doesn't always help because people have screenshots of stuff. People have,
because it's
like
out there.
who knows?
I
It
know.
is.
I
It's on
feel
the
like I
internet
feel like I need
forever.
my children to watch this one because like
Yeah.
seriously, because while we're not speaking to you or anyone really, like you're a 14-year-old kid that's just holding a cell phone for the first time, the way that social media has evolved over time, it's difficult to stay in the know of like how it all works and where it all lives and how accessible it really is and in all the ways that it can be utilized. It's a very familiar conversation with me because I've got kiddos that are in leadership and different things at school. And if I post something online, I think, what did I posted something of Paisley and I don't know if I said something was a shit show or what it was. And she wanted to share it to her story. So she covered up the word shit with the poop emoji. And I was like, okay, I didn't think that was that bad. And she's like, Mom, I'm in student council. I am
Mhm.
in the PALS program. And I am like,
Mhm.
I am not, I don't talk like that. We're not putting that out there on social media. And I was like, okay, all right. I
Yeah.
see you
her
trying to
brand
be a good
her
kid.
brand is
I
a little
like
bit
it.
different. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
her brand's a little bit different and she's going to think about that because she's that kind of kid.
Yeah.
Um, but not everyone is going to think about that. And I think it's almost impossible sometimes for some teenagers to get that they're going to have a future. And even if they're not planning for it exactly today, they people will be seeing what happened before,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So I think this is a good topic to talk to your teens about that are posting on social media. It could never go away. So just keep it in mind.
Yeah. Interesting conversation as she's
Mhm.
literally about to leave for her first day at her first
I
job.
know. Good luck, Pace.
And she's teaching me about social media, covering things up
I
with poop
know.
emojis.
Well, I want to transition into talking about when you have the job, right? You have the job, the dream job, and you can get freaking fired or in trouble at work because of the content that you're putting out there. Obviously, everybody knows that if you go on TikTok and you talk about the company that you work for in a negative way, you're asking for it. Everyone knows that. So most
Yeah.
people who want to keep their job don't do that. But sometimes you think that you're doing a post that would be perfectly normal and they don't like it. So I want to read you this story that we got on the website, and it's very interesting. All right.
Can we just
So
take a moment really fast to celebrate the fact that someone shared a story with us
it's not
through
the
the
first
link
time, but
on our
yes,
website
but they did
that
a good job.
literally, but it's not even just that we got a story, like we've gotten stories, but we got the story. They had no idea what we were planning to talk about, and it just went, bloop, felt right
Yeah,
in.
it felt
Perfect.
perfect. It felt perfect. So, this person says, growing up as a child of immigrants in New York City, I dreamed of working on Wall Street. By 36, I made it to one of the most prestigious firms in the industry. On paper, I had a lot: beauty, career, lifestyle, but inside I was empty, living for weekends and escaping through hobbies unrelated to work. Maybe I my, maybe I outgrew my dream, or maybe it was like a loveless marriage you're too afraid to leave, which we've been there in some capacities, everyone has. In March, I took myself skiing in Aspen, funded by my fancy Wall Street salary. I woke up at 3 to 4 a.m. to take work calls from the slopes because that's what you do in high pressure jobs when you're terrified of falling behind. That week, I got an urgent call from my boss's boss about a day in the life LinkedIn reel I post. So she just did a post about a day in the life. Okay, that's all that she did. It had gone semi-viral, but legal and compliance flagged it for allegedly showing confidential data. It was absurd. My real human voice didn't fit their bland narrative, and they didn't like it. On the last day of the trip, I went for a run, slipped, and tore my ACL. My leg collapsed beneath me like two bowling pins, and snow patrol had to carry me down the mountain. Shortly after I got back, I was placed on a 6-week PIP. Okay, so it's a performance improvement plan. My therapist told me to give it my all, not for them, but for me, so I would know I did everything I could. So I did. I woke up at 3 to 4 a.m. working through pain meds, skipping physical therapy, trying to pass. I broke down in a PIP review when my manager gave me a small critique about sending a meeting invite too late. It wasn't harsh, but I couldn't hold it together. I cried loud, real, messy sobs that only a grown woman who's held it together for too long can have. She's an excellent storyteller.
I know.
Um, my boss, a genuinely kind person, finally saw it. I told him I'm injured. I'm on paid meds. I can't keep doing this. And here's the ironic part. I hadn't meant to, but I had been documenting my ACL recovery journey on Instagram. One of my reels, the reel that got me a PIP, ended up going viral. I sometimes wonder if half my company was secretly watching it just to drive up the view count. Somehow, that video changed everything. It changed the no leave during a PIP stance they were so sure about, maybe once they saw how serious my medical condition was or realized the legal implications of ignoring it. They knew they were being shady. HR, which had told me there was no leave allowed, suddenly called me and told me to take medical leave. Currently, I'm on medical leave. Initially, it was a verbal leave, and then I applied through the company's third party provider. I've heard this doesn't protect you completely, but it gives me time. I had to fight tooth and nail to get to this point, and it still boggles my mind that companies have these benefits and programs for the well being of their workforce, yet none of it is out in the open. In fact, not only is it hidden, but they actively provide misinformation if, for whatever reason, they decide they want to discard you. This whole global remote economy, especially in this role, really dehumanized me in a way I didn't expect, where my injury wasn't even considered. And while I'm grateful to finally have the relief of short term disability, I can't help but think how shady the entire process was simply because I didn't fit into their matrix mold.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that she wasn't allowed to take medical leave with a serious injury. But like you could get me on a tailspin on that. But getting back to the kind of root of this is she was posting something harmless on a vacation in which she was choosing to continue to work on this vacation by posting a day in the life video. It didn't match what they wanted to see representing their brand. And at the end of the
Mhm.
day, while that makes me angry that your personal media isn't personal, um,
Mhm.
it's kind of not. When you work for a company, the employees of that company do represent the company, and you have to be mindful
Yeah.
of that. And that
Mhm.
is one of the reasons. It's one of the reasons that I don't want to work for corporate because I love that I represent myself. I
Mhm.
love that I can be authentically an asshole. I can be
Mhm.
authentically kind.
Mhm.
I can just be real without
Mhm.
having to worry about who I'm representing.
Yeah.
But she's just living her normal life, trying to be cool
Mhm.
about it. And now it's going to impact her. A performance review because of my video?
Well, so here's the things that really hung me up about this because so she was under performance review because of that video, all right? But something to think about is that they said that she wasn't compliant. So when you work in finance, when you work in insurance, when you work in some of these different fields that have to be compliant, right? Same with, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Roadhouse was this way. We had to look at every single social media post before it went out because we couldn't have anything that was out of compliance. And
Yeah,
there's
to
different
protect the
levels of
brand.
compliance. Yeah, right. There's different levels of compliance. There's different levels of this is just what the brand does and whatever. And they call all of that compliance within a company.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it can damage the reputation of a company. And so while
Mm-hmm.
I understand it, when you're posting as the company, it is a little bit harder. It was a little bit harder for me to hear that as your personal. But if you are working on your vacation, you are your company. You know what I mean? Like if you don't have any separation like that, everyone knows where you work, who you work for, and
Yep.
and then it looks like you. I mean, if you are wearing that logo ever, if you are talking about Wall Street, if you are talking about, right, and this is not me victim shaming, right? But I do
No.
understand it is a thing that people put you in that bucket a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And while I wish it wasn't like that, they get mad. The part that makes me really mad about this is that while she was under review, now she gets hurt and she can't take time off because of another corporate, like one
Policy.
of their
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
policies. And it's like, can we remember that everyone who works here is human? You know?
So, with most corporations, you're going to have to sign, obviously, a ton of paperwork when you get hired on.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
I can tell you from my experience, and I'm sure that most, especially in today's day and age, those companies have social media policies. And I'm sure that most people don't read the fine print of all of that stuff. You just sign away or whatever. But, like, if you don't remember signing something like that, or if you do, but you didn't read it, it may be really smart to go check that out just so that you don't inadvertently do something that you think is no big deal, like shooting a day in the life on a ski trip, and then the next thing you know, you go viral and it's a big problem.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, and I don't think that she shot the day in the life. She found out about it while she was on her ski trip. She had done that
Mm,
beforehand.
yeah.
But it's like, yeah, you don't know what you don't know until you
Did you
ask.
read the fine
So,
print?
yeah, and I don't read fine print, but
Hmm.
I think it's worthwhile if you are an active poster to do that. Also, if you are planning to go viral, if you are trying to go viral, think about it. Just think about it because we always tell our clients, like, our goal is not for you to go viral because viral videos bring lots of people to the table, right? And
Hmm.
they're not, most of them are not your target audience anyway. And some of them are just here to hate. And why are we bringing that to us, right?
Yeah, that
So,
is exactly what I meant when I said I don't I don't post things like that because I am not trying to attract that kind of attention to myself
mhm,
or my beliefs. I would rather the
yep.
slow and steady organic relations online so that it can be loving, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, and we don't always have a choice. You never know what's going to go viral, right? If you're putting
Yeah.
it out there,
Hmm.
it could go viral. But this is why this listener who sent this in, this is why she got in trouble was because it went viral. If it hadn't, then it wouldn't have really been on anyone's radar,
They
right?
probably wouldn't have even known
Hmm.
because nobody,
Mm-mm.
I highly doubt that we have positions in corporations where all they do is monitor employees' social
Yeah,
media.
track
It popped
everybody's
up on a
socials.
radar. Yeah, it popped up on
Hmm.
somebody's radar. It got brought to the attention
Hmm.
where it was like, hey, this might not actually reflect what we want people to see as a day in the life of
Hmm.
an employee that works for us.
Yeah, it's just hard. Like, social media is a fun place to get deep in the scroll and watch the funny
Hmm.
videos and things like that. And it just needs to be weighed out if you're going to put yourself out there. You just need to weigh out the pros and cons of what it could do for your career or your personal reputation or whatever it is, because
Yeah.
it's not just about jobs, it's also about what everybody at the kids' schools think about you too. And because some of them don't have a choice whether to treat your kid a certain way because of how you behave online, and they should not ever
They
treat a
should,
kid a certain way because of how they feel about a parent. But just keep it
but
all
it
in mind.
happens.
And this is not related, but I just saw a video yesterday and this girl was talking about how her mother-in-law hates her and has always treated her like crap because her mom was her like high school nemesis. So the
So let
wife's
me just go
mom
ahead and
and the
take it out on the
husband's
next
mom are,
generation.
well, and I just think that that's so crazy because I could never, right? Like, there
Yeah.
are adults who I don't enjoy, and unless their kids are, you know,
Carbon
assholes
copies of
too.
them.
Yeah, but most kids are, I mean, I don't want to say most kids, but a lot of
Kids are
kids are
kids,
just
though, you know?
kids.
Yeah.
And it's like, can you imagine being mean to someone's kid because you don't like them? That is wild, but it happens. And so just control yourself on social media and have these crazy conversations with, you know, people
Yeah.
in person.
I will tell you that this entire conversation, though I think that I just naturally am very conscious of what I put on social media, it makes me want to do a deep dive. It makes me want to do a deep
Mhm,
dive and see, not just what cringy 2008 Mandy had to say about
mhm,
what it was like to be a new mom and all the
mhm.
details that you don't need to share with the world. Like, no one cares you just got puked on. Why'd you put that on the internet? However, through the years of working within corporate, having, really fun relationships with friendships and things like that, like what have I put out there that represents who I am that may not currently align?
Mhm.
Probably a ton. I've grown a lot since 2008. You're welcome.
Hmm. Yeah. And obviously, people expect, I can't imagine someone going back to my 2010 posts and going,
Yeah.
why was she talking about someone who wasn't wearing their shirt and it grossed her out or whatever? Like,
Yeah.
that was so long ago. I don't think anyone's going to be like, I kind of hate her for that, right?
Yeah.
But if you have stuff
Well,
on there that's not, you know, not the best, it's worth taking down. I don't want to see that stuff on my memories because it
neither.
makes me
I
feel
don't want to
stupid
not
about
like who
myself.
I was.
Yeah,
Yes. And
yeah.
we're not celebrities, right? Like
Hmm.
celebrities,
Oh
they
no.
will pull stuff out from 20 years
Hmm.
ago and suddenly you're canceled because
Hmm.
stop.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to be able to give each other more grace than that as humans and have
Hmm.
respect for thoughts and opinions and mistakes along the way.
Hmm.
I actually like that I can see growth in my social media
Yeah.
profile over the years. But
Hmm.
looking back, pre-growth on, hey, online is not a place for your diary.
Hmm.
That's cringy. It's cringy. And
Hmm.
my girls actually, I don't remember if it was Paisley or Peyton. They did a project at school and they were learning about your online footprint. And part of this project was to Google their parents and see how much and what they could find online about their parents using literally your first and last name, your age, and the city that you live in. And all of a sudden, I just started getting all these texts of pictures of me of like, I'm like, where did you get this? How did you get this? Like, I know this picture and it was on a big screen at conference at Texas Roadhouse in like 2010. I know exactly where this
Hmm.
picture came from, but how did you get it? She Googled
Yeah.
my name.
Yeah. It's
So
on the
now I'm like,
internet. Hmm.
I need to go Google myself and see what pops up. Because, oh, by the way, all this stuff that we're talking about social media, you don't have to go to Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or wherever. You don't have to go directly to this place to see it. It pulls up in SEO search results. Like
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
there. Google knows about it. If they look
Uh-huh.
you up, they're going to see whatever it is you put out there.
Uh-huh. We could dig way further into Google and things like that,
We
but for a
could.
positive reason, right? Because everyone needs to be searchable and you need to be able to see everything about you
Hmm.
professionally. And there's so many good ways to use it, but yeah, we
Well, I'm
don't
glad
want
you said
anything
that.
bad on there. Hmm.
I'm glad you said that there are good ways that you can do it. So we've talked about like all the big and scary things that could happen from a negative aspect about
Hmm.
utilizing your social media. If I were trying to set myself up for success, whether it's
Hmm.
in getting a new job or maintaining a really great professional image online, what sort of things should I be thinking about? Not thinking about not doing, but what sort of things should I be doing to cultivate the image of myself that I would want other people to see? Because I know you have a
Yeah.
list.
I do. I think that obviously anything that paints you in a good light is always going to be good, right? But what are
Mm-hmm.
employers looking for? So, green flags include volunteering or leadership activities, right? That paints you in a really good light. Sharing your accomplishments, right? So, I always talk about the humble brag. It's really hard for most people to put something out there and say,
Yeah.
look at me, I am awesome. I did this today. I got this accomplished, whatever.
Yeah, I
But I
don't like
love the
that
humble
either, but
brag. No, and it feels weird. And I have a lot of, we do social media for businesses and we have a lot of people who are like, just make sure that it doesn't sound too braggy. And
yeah.
it's like, enter the humble brag because we're going to thank somebody. We're going to thank
Mm-hmm.
them and say, thank you so much for having us out to do this with you. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it shows that you did something awesome, but you're positioning it
But
as a
somebody
thank
gave
you
you the
post.
opportunity.
Hmm. Yes, yes. Because if instead you go online and you're like, I am just so proud of myself for this, it might not feel authentic to you, first and foremost.
Yeah.
But it might also turn some people off because they're like, okay, it feels really comfortable to do the humble brag type of post by thanking somebody else. And that, generally works. Thoughtful comments on industry trends. Okay. So position yourself as the expert online about what kind of job you're trying to get. So, like I said, we do social media, we do websites, we do podcast editing, we do all of these things. So, if I'm out there on our socials, on my socials, talking about the let's say social media trends right now, or I'm
Mm-hmm.
positioning myself as the expert, I'm teaching people something for free, which they like, and I might look good to somebody who is looking to hire us for that or looking to
Yeah.
hire you for that position in their company. So share those things. LinkedIn is a really great place to share them. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever. Everyone loves to learn on social media. And so if you share things on there, that can make you look really good.
Mm-hmm.
Other best practices, keep personal and professional accounts separate, but still be mindful. Regularly audit your online presence. Make sure that there's nothing weird going on there. Post with intention. Educate, inspire, entertain, but don't vent. That actually is really smart. How many times have you seen someone go online and they're just like venting about anything and everything? It doesn't have to be venting about their job. They're venting about the mom who was rude to them in the grocery store, and you look like the asshole every single time, even though that person was really probably the asshole. You
Yeah,
look
but now you
like
look
the
like an asshole too. What I hate
yeah.
worse than that is the people that literally go on and vent about every little thing, and then you get annoyed by it, and later when you're like talking shit about it, because duh, you're talking shit about it,
Mhm.
like they've
Mhm.
already deleted it. Like you put it out there, you got 25 comments, you got people roped into your vent session, and then you went and deleted it because you thought better of it. Well, kudos to you for thinking better of your stupid post, but like learn from it. This is not the
Yeah.
place. It's not the one.
Yeah. Do not post angry, drunk, or you know what I mean? Like, please don't. We have a rule around here. Like, absolutely no posting after drinking because you're just so much more open to sharing these
Mm-hmm.
things. And sober Mandy might not like that post as much as drunk Mandy,
Yeah. Give
or
a
even
fucks go right
tipsy,
out the window.
Yeah, yeah. So make sure, but don't ever post angry. And don't even try not to go on social media angry in the first place, because then you might say hateful stuff to people who are
You're
just
just asking
talking
for
about
it.
real stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and actually, that was the last comment that I had. Stay off social
Well,
media when emotions are high.
I think that that's all really great stuff. And like, honestly, I think this all applies regardless of whether or not you're trying to get a new job, whether you're worried about keeping your job. Like, I'm not worried about who's looking at my social media negatively at this point because that's not the world that I'm in, right? But at the
Uh-huh.
same time, I do care about the way that people perceive me as a human showing up in the
Mm-hmm.
world. So I think these are really great gut checks, and I will be performing an audit just
Uh-huh.
in case.
Yeah, we all should perform an audit and just be mindful,
Yeah.
because it's the only person that your social media hurts is you at the end of the day, right? So
Hmm.
just self-preservation, look at it, figure it out, talk to your teenagers about it, because even if they're not ready for a job yet, they will be. And we don't want
Yeah.
them to not get hired because they had too big of emotions on the internet. So
Yeah.
I loved this one. I hope that
I did
people get
too.
something from it. Yeah. And
I did too.
thank you again to our story that we received. If you have any stories about your corporate journey, if you have any secrets that you'd like to share about anything that's going on with you right now, it could even be a secret that you are like, I am halfway taking this to the grave, but I will let you share it anonymously. We would love to hear it. It could have happened 10 years ago, but it's just so
Yeah.
fun. And actually 10
We
years
just
ago is
want the
great
goods.
because then we'll know the outcome of it too, because sometimes when you're in the
Yeah,
middle of
no,
it, you're
then
like,
we'll
I
get
don't
an
know what's going to
update,
happen.
status update.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but we really, really appreciate everyone who listens to this podcast and lets me and Mandy get all of our corporate stuff out,
Yeah,
and learn so many more tools all the time to just be better at work. We love it.
I know. Well, thanks for the great conversation. And I suppose we'll be back here next week, same time, same place. But we have a guest next
Yep.
week, right?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
We'll be talking about toxic work situations. So please tune in,
Yeah.
and we'll see y'all next week. Bye.
Bye.